Howdy there, folks. It's an exciting day here on the Cactus Atlas. My name is Glenn, your host, and today I'm taking you up a dirt road up to the legendary ghost town of Cerro Gordo, California. So I'm out here in a very quiet stretch of California in a place called Owens Valley, looking out at a thing called Owens Lake, or non-lake. There was water in it earlier this year after some really heavy rains. A hurricane delivered some heavy rains out this way in the deserts, but all that water is long since passed. We are looking straight on at the eastern Sierra Nevada. We're in between the Sierra Nevada mountains and what I believe are the Inyo Mountains. But we're driving quite literally to the top up a very steep road, dirt road. And this tiny little town here is Keeler, California, one of the towns on Owens Lake, and one of the towns you'll probably see a lot of if you watch Brent Underwood's channel, Ghost Town Living, the owner of Cerro Gordo. And somewhere up there in the clouds is the tallest peak in California, Mount Whitney. I think I might see it, but I'm hesitant to say which one because I always mess it up. I probably need a local to show me. Maybe when I get up at Cerro Gordo today, someone up there can orient me. But I'm probably looking at it. This is a legendary day for me, to be honest with you. I've been wanting to do this for years. Even before that YouTube channel I mentioned, Ghost Town Living with Brent Underwood, came out. We'll talk a lot about him today. He's part now of the history, I would say, as he portrays it also, of this area. And he's had a lot of history happen to him, poor guy, in the last couple years. But let's survey this landscape really quick and see what we're dealing with here. I know Slim's ready, right, Slim?
You bet I am.
Here's a beautiful wooden sign. Welcome to Cerro Gordo. I'm having a hard time saying that today. Cerro Gordo. We'll just say it in English. It means fat hill. Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm going to give you a lot of the history that I've studied on and have learned, and a lot of that comes from Brent Underwood's channel, Ghost Town Living, as he teaches a lot about the history firsthand in the town. But the first thing we're going to do is take a historic road that was built in the 1800s that goes straight up these mountains. And I don't really know where Cerro Gordo is up there, but we're going to find it. So you guys ready for this one? I know I am. So Cerro Gordo, here we come.
All right, we need to get a couple items of business out of the way. First, I'm Slim, and you can think of me like the character Kit from the show Knight Rider. I'm the voice and AI of Glenn's Chevy Colorado ZR2 and part-time narrator here at the Cactus Atlas. Some of you love me, some of you despise me. I am more polarizing than modern politics. But please consider this in case you are new here. Our usual host, Glenn, came down with a spot of the old tonsil cancer a few months back and is in recovery at the time of editing. We made an update video about that a few weeks ago. You can watch if you like. And this episode, unlike others, requires narration. The reason is, as you'll learn, that Cerro Gordo implemented a policy of no video within town limits, which, since they don't seem to respond to emails and don't post that anywhere, we only learned about the policy when we rolled up into town that day. Still photography is, however, allowed, and we'll share some with you.
What are you gonna do?
So that really screwed up our original game plan, and in order to try and make a well-rounded video, we opted to throw in some backstory and history to make up for it. Hence why the occasional narration. And since Glenn is suffering from the after effects of radiation treatment, you'll hopefully give him a pass on this one and go easy on me. He'd rather share what we did than make no video at all. And besides, since this is the final season of the Cactus Atlas, it may be the last time I get an opportunity to chat with you. So for those who enjoyed my wit and humor, this one's for you. Well, enough said. Let's turn this back over to Glenn at street level and begin the ascent up the mountain to the town of Cerro Gordo.
I can't tell you how excited I am. The very beginning of this adventure today, and we're going to document the whole thing all the way up. There are a couple roads up here to get up here. This is Cerro Gordo Road. And other than the washboards here, it's actually a pretty easy road so far. I don't expect it to be like the most difficult thing we've ever done on this channel by far, but we'll see. As we're coming up here, I see like evidence of old mining operations and old buildings and things all around here in the landscape. And I'm sure some of these things, locals know what all these things are, but I sure don't. Like this curiosity here, what the heck was that? Like a dynamite storage? I don't know, interesting. The name of the road that I've read is the Yellow Road or the Yellow Grade Road, and you know, I think we could see where Cerro Gordo might be. It's weird how I kind of recognize the contour of some of the hills and stuff, or I think I do anyway, but I could be wrong. But boy, is that high up there if that's where we're going.
Now is a good time to interject and give a little backstory to this old road we are traveling. The town of Cerro Gordo was originally a large producer of silver, its heyday being back in the 1800s, and it's credited with playing a large role in the development of the city of Los Angeles. The name Cerro Gordo, or Fat Hill in English, was named by Mexican miners that used to frequent the area for silver. By the 1860s, businessmen like Victor Baudry took notice of the quality of the ore being mined here and started snagging up rights to many of the claims, and this began the development of this mining town. Not too far on Victor's heels was another businessman, Mortimer Belshaw, who in 1868 arrived and partnered with another stakeholder in the lucrative Union Mine. Belshaw ended up building the most superior smelting facility on site at Cerro Gordo, and then proceeded to obtain the financing necessary to construct a wagon road to transport silver and lead down the mountain to Los Angeles. Belshaw operated the road as a toll road, allowing him to make additional income, and his name is now one of the most well-known names associated with the town. The road was dubbed the Yellow Road, or the Yellow Grade Road, due to the yellow hue of the rocks they cut through. Fast forward to today, and Glenn and I are heading up the same routes wagons used to take to and from town. Fascinating.
There are a couple spots I think they call narrows in here where you go through these little canyons, and I'm curious if I'm going to be able to match it up with watching the episodes on YouTube for where the road got washed out multiple times and where they were repairing it. You could see all of it on that channel. It's fascinating to watch. In today's episode, I want to share some of the history that I know, but you're probably going to see more of a fanboy's experience, just someone that's really into the history, someone that's into the modern history and the making of it. And this looks like this might be one of those spots from watching his video where I know it was in really narrow spots like this where they had those issues, and they have to basically come here. All of the rock underneath is exposed, and they have to fill it in with dirt. And then I imagine the county comes back out too, because the county owns this road. So it's not the private landowner Brent's problem really, but it is his problem. You know, to get people up and down, because he has to keep supplies going up there. And yeah, this looks like that area. Gonna keep rolling here. There might be two narrows, I think, along the route, and I don't know if this is one of the ones from the show. I may not be able to know until I watch my footage later and compare notes. Lots of places to pull off though, I guess, and room for equipment if you have to get heavy equipment up here and excavators and things like that. But so far, you guys know me, I've got a lot of mining roads under my level of experience now. And the current state of this road is wonderful, I would say. I would give this, you know, if we're using that rating system like you'd see on Onyx Off-Road, I'd give this a 2 out of 10. I'm giving it a 2 because it's full of washboards. If it didn't have the washboards, I could give it a 1. It's plenty wide. I would say so far it's passenger car friendly. You're just gonna rattle the fillings out of your teeth if you're in a small passenger car with some of those washboards, but hey, it builds character. I imagine if we could go back in time also, we would see mules pulling really heavy wagons full of ore, or if it was being processed already or pre-processed up at Belshaw's furnace up at the town site, maybe not raw ore. One of the reasons why they did that was it made it lighter and easier to transport, is what I've read, which I'm sure anything you can do on this road to ease the passing of materials would be a welcome thing. I bet you we're just kind of now, I mean, we got a long way to go. If you could see way up there, I see a road up there. I don't know if that's Brent's Road or not, if that's where Cerro Gordo sits up there. It probably is. Holy moly, is that up there. I don't think we've got most of the elevation taken care of. Looking at the topography, the topo map that's up on my display, I see a 5,000 foot line up this way. We're not far from 5,000 feet in elevation. I think he sits at 8,000 or 9,000 feet, does he not? Here's another Narrows, which very likely could be one of those problematic sections that really gets washed out, because you could see when it has heavy rains, the water is going to go somewhere, and this is really a wash. This is really the only place it could go, and this part looks really a lot rougher than some others, but some tight turns, but still not bad. Starting to get a little hairy. There's some spots where someone's gonna have to go backwards and pull over if you encounter traffic coming the other direction in some of these spots, but very narrow here. Oh boy. I opted not to throw on the four-wheel drive just because I like to try it. And right there's some slippage, so it would be a nice to have right now. I like to do it though, just so, you know, people can see that these things are usually possible without it. As that's one of the most popular questions we get is, can I do it without four-wheel drive? And my answer is probably like 95% of the time, yeah, that's not the right question to ask. It's a little bit bumpier the further you go, but like I said, so far we've done much worse than this. But I've also said the same kind of talk on other drives, and then I've regretted saying it later on, so I'm still just marveling at how back in the day they would have transported the ore up here, and we're now seeing evidence of mining right off the bat. I see a couple like ore bins up here. I might even see an adit up above. And yeah, that is awesome though. A lot of old mining roads. Who knows what kind of cool stuff. I know what kind of cool stuff you can find out here because of Brent's channel. I actually see some of the tram, I think. Or is that electricity running up the mountain? I don't know. But here we go with some of the shelves I read about, and we're going to get a good look at the eastern Sierra Nevada again from up high. And this is the part where I think I've read people get a little nervous, is with these shelves, and I think there's even worse. That's not too bad, but yeah, you can start to see Owens Lake down below off to our left. If I can get a safe spot to pull over, I might actually do that. It's a little scary, I want to say. Just a wee little bit. Just a wee little bit. Alright, hopefully I don't encounter somebody up here. Slim, you make this work so easy. Buddy, you really do. find that really perfect vantage point maybe to get some shots from the ground, but here we go. I think I found it actually. I found what I'm looking for. There's a dispersed camping spot, it looks like here, with like maybe one of the best views ever. What a landscape this is, folks. Oh my gosh, and I still see where we're going and we ain't there yet. So there's a view of the road that we just drove up. I believe where we're heading, you can see a road way up there. I want to say that's where we're going. We're certainly going to go up that way. But what I wanted to show you is this view here. And we're going to get even better views of this, I reckon, the further up we go. But there's Owens Lake, or Owens non-lake, Owens Valley, as discussed by Brent Underwood many times. In fact, I think he says he has a trailer somewhere down there with power and running water and stuff that he uses sometimes to get off the mountain when he needs to. But look at that. You can kind of see some more road, not right here directly in front, but way up there. Still wondering if that's where we're going. And my first time. And we'll leave our little vantage point here. I did opt, just so you know, I'm cheating a little bit. I did opt to put on the four-wheel drive. Just mainly on some of those hills, my wheels were starting to spin a little bit. Do I need it? Once again, I'm going to maintain I probably do not. But it just makes things easier. And so why not? Plus, I guess if there are a couple spots, probably in a smaller car it wouldn't even matter as much, but a bigger vehicle like a truck, I know if I had to stop and kind of maneuver and go backwards, if there was another vehicle coming the other way on a couple kind of steep spots, having that four-wheel drive to help grip is going to be a welcome thing anyway, so maybe for that precaution. But I would still say, in terms of level of difficulty or worry, this has been a joy, I would say, to drive on so far. I'm sure if Brent Underwood heard me saying that after all the trouble he's had and how much time it's cost him, he probably would have something else to say about it. Another thing of interest is if you watch his channel, Brent's channel, you'll see he gets help from some other YouTubers that have some pretty heavy equipment they've been able to get up here to help pour concrete, because most concrete companies will not make the drive up here, understandably so. That would be a tall order, I would say. That'd be risky. Here's another spot that might be one of those problematic spots on the road after it rains, but anyway. So just knowing and seeing the videos and now driving the same road myself and getting that experience, it gives me a lot more respect for the things they do up here and the things they're trying to do. Because if you didn't know this, they're rebuilding one of the historic buildings that unfortunately burned down a couple years ago. Probably the most popular building up here, an old hotel called the American Hotel. So they've had to like haul cinder block and concrete. To get it all done, so all up this guy's road from the 1800s, Belshaw. Alright, now I think I found some of those fabled shelves that are scary to some people, and yeah, they are. Like, you could see straight across to the Eastern Sierra down to Owens Lake. It's no safe place to pull over. I did see one car back that way that I drove by, so I don't want to block the way either on this precarious section, but boy is that a good view. So if I can get out, I'm gonna show it to you. Boy, I even see the road where we started, I think, down there. I feel like we've really come up high. I don't like the parking opportunities here. I'm gonna just keep on going, I think, unless right here. This might be a good spot. Oh, shoot. It's a big rock right there that I couldn't see. And it should be plenty out of the way. Let's take a look at this. I gotta show this to you. You get a really good sense of where this ghost town is and why it's such a challenge to maintain infrastructure back in the 1800s or even in modern times. OMG, as the young people say, or used to say. I don't know if that's still as popular anymore, but this is what I am talking about. Holy moly. Even by watching that show, Ghost Town Living, you cannot get the same sense of how high this place is unless you're here to see it yourself. Because I don't even think this camera is going to do it justice. But we came down, I think you could see Keeler, that patch of green down there, and there's a road. That's where we started our journey, I'm pretty sure. Wow. And this is the section of road we just drove up. Oh look, I passed, there's a adit over there that we drove right by. Wide open. And all up and down the hillside here you see waste rock piles, tailings, all up and down. So back in the day they prospected here and dug, and I see adit after adit now. Now that I'm looking, now I know what the guy was doing. He was parked over there, he was exploring that. So I don't know if these things are closed off or if you can go in them. I'm not, as you know me, I'm kind of a wimp, so I'm one of the ones that takes the advice that they say don't go in, but you can even see like barbed wired off areas where presumably there are shafts dug in, probably deep ones too, all over the hillsides here. So I guess once there's a strike or a boomtown, probably not far away, I think I've been right about the road the whole time. Up there somewheres. I think we're getting there. Poor Slim, he's holding on for dear life. But yeah, this right down, all that white used to be a huge lake some 7 miles across, they say. And now you can kind of get a look as they took this road that you see let out at the bottom in that town of Keeler, where they would have put all of the stuff on the boat to go all the way across the lake to make its way to Los Angeles, California. And then Mount Whitney, I don't know if there's like a really pointy peak to kind of the left, and then there's another pointy peak kind of offset in the back to the right. And that's why I always have a hard time knowing which one is Mount Whitney, because it's not like front and center. Does that make sense? But we are going to be spending our time, I bet you, like right across the way. We're probably looking at approximately where our campsite is. The Alabama Hills are over that way, Lone Pine. We're going to be filming a lot there. But you can also see that gentleman that I passed. I see his car now way down the mountain. So very quiet day. You don't have to worry about too many tourists up here. That's for sure. Let's continue our way up this mountain, being very careful to make sure we have it in drive and not reverse. That would not be cool. Going back down that side. I could see why going down might be the more thrilling way to experience this road. I'm starting to get a little woozy because we are really high up. And now that I have that awareness of just how far down it is right off to my side, it gives me a little of that white knuckle flavoring. Something in my gut says we are so close now, though. Through that pass, I bet. It's kind of what my gut is telling me. I see more topographic lines on my map. I see 7,600 feet is the approximate current elevation. Probably a little less than that, but we're approaching 7,600 feet. Still though, even though it's a little scary with the drop-offs and stuff, I would say this road is still fantastic as far as old mining roads go. A+. And the gentleman that I saw driving down appeared to have some kind of crossover vehicle. But other than that bump I just drove over right there, there's a couple holes in the road. It's yeah, it's been fine. fine. Let's see what the temperature is up here, because it was hot down at the bottom. It is 84 degrees, so you could see compared to Death Valley, where I've been complaining on my other videos that it was like approaching 120 degrees. In fact, this morning on my last video, I think it was already reaching like about 100 before 9 a.m. down there, and up here it's a measly 84 degrees, and it's probably going to drop a couple more too. Another reason why I wanted to come here while I can, because my understanding is in the wintertime this becomes a snowy landscape. They get a lot of snow up here and get snowed in, blizzards and whiteouts. Please, let's not encounter anybody else. And one thing that you might want to note, my main, I guess, heads up on this road is there are sections like this where it's one lane and you're not getting two cars, not even two passenger cars are going to get past each other here, and there's a deep shelf there, so someone's going to have to go backwards. I don't know, and to me it's usually a policy of everybody be honest and pay attention to the road as you're driving up, so you kind of keep track of those spots, so you can be the good Samaritan when you need to be. All right. There's more roads too that you could see lines cut in. I think we're there actually. Holy crap, we're there already. I mean, it's just so recognizable. Everything's recognizable to me from watching that show. I'm getting goosebumps. It's so odd in a good way. But that pile of tailings right there is kind of what I recognize. Cerro Gordo. Oh, I see the American Hotel. I haven't seen any update videos in a while, and it's got all of the wood on it. Looks like they're about to work on the roof. You guys see that? Right there is where the American Hotel is. I kind of know the layout of the town now just from studying and stuff. So I don't know where to go now. I don't know who to talk to. If I just start walking around, do I pay a fee to get in? How does this work? Oh my goodness. We made it up here. Cerro Gordo Mines, private property, but I think it is, open to the public. All of these, there's the bunkhouse right there where Brent experienced he says his own paranormal experience up there. Kind of wondering if there's like a place that you check in. There's parking signs, so I think where I would park is going to be right over here. And seems like the best place to go. Visitor parking, turn left. I mean, this is the visitor parking, is it not? It is today. Wow, I wonder if Mr. Underwood is here somewhere. I see the Gordon house. I think I see the Belshaw house where Brent stays. Wow. And the American Hotel. It's up on this hill that I didn't expect it to be on. And there's all manner of like old wooden structures. I mean, let me shut up. Let's get out here and let's check this out. See if I can find somebody. I don't know if I pay a fee or if I just start walking around. I'm gonna just start walking around and maybe somebody will see me and I'll come up to a sign that will give me some direction. My first couple moments here outside at Cerro Gordo ghost town. I'm looking at the newly rebuilt or under construction American Hotel. Been following the progress of that on the channel that I told you about. That basically, the original hotel was built in 1871 and it burnt down a couple years ago due to old electricity, old wires, and I think they were saying how old places, the insulation was basically old newspaper, probably the worst thing you could imagine having for insulation, for fire safety, but it is what it is. So that's what they say happened. And I know it was devastating to the owner of the town, but the fact that they're rebuilding it is awesome. And then guests are going to be able to stay in there eventually. I know for Amy and a couple others in my life, this scene, all of these buildings should be very familiar to you at this point. because they watch the channel too. And there's a book. He actually published a book not that long ago. So there we check in at the flag. Okay, so there's a flag up there, but I know there's, I don't know if that's his dirt bike, but I know there's a movie that they run in there that you can watch and other various things. So some of the stuff I know what it is and we'll discuss. All I know is I can't believe I'm finally here after all of these years of wanting to visit. So it looks like this is where you check in. Welcome to the mines. I think that's the old Belshaw house.
So it was at this point that we were greeted by one of the current caretakers. He was a nice guy, but promptly explained that he noticed our camera and that no video is allowed in town, although he said no harm, no foul for having filmed the little we did on the walk-up. He did say still photography is allowed, so we did the next best thing and took a bunch of photos. Our guess is that many of you watching are already familiar with the town from watching the Ghost Town Living channel, so probably not worth going over every single building and discussing it. So here's a few shots of what we saw around town on this day, September 6th of 2024. We are pleased to at least report that his goats and alpacas were alive and healthy. Anyway, I think you got the general idea. What's left of the town is actually pretty small, and it didn't take long to make our rounds. It was pretty neat seeing the progress of the new hotel firsthand after having seen the story of its reconstruction over multiple episodes of the Ghost Town Living channel. We didn't spend too long in town and opted to pack it up and head on back down the mountain, a little disappointed that we could not make the video we wanted, but at the same time feeling fulfilled and thankful that we got to experience this historic town with our own eyes.
All right, as I sit here, I'm actually looking directly at Brent Underwood. I didn't get to talk to him because he kept walking in and out of that, the Belshaw house where I believe he stays. He's right up there on the porch. He's looking pretty healthy if that's him. I know he said he had some health issues and stuff, but now I'm like, oh, do I go up there? But I'm shy, so looks like he's about to leave. It is a fairly small property. There are more buildings on the premises than I thought, like smaller buildings they've been rebuilding, but there's also a lot that you would recognize from the show if you watch it. So if you want to see a lot of video of this place, I would highly recommend. I will plug Brent's channel. It's my favorite YouTube channel. I don't want to call him a YouTuber because he's really a ghost town owner, but at least now, I guess, going down, we're going to have the views of Owens Valley down below. And I did confirm there was water earlier this year, like we saw in the video, and they think most of it probably evaporates, is what they think. So thank you for respecting our old town, Cerro Gordo mines. So what's your guys' opinion, I guess, about, YouTube rules? I mean, this isn't the only place that has policies against it. I just wish I knew in advance if that was the case, because I probably wouldn't have come up here. I mean, it's a big time and cost commitment for me to do this. So I guess if I have to offer one, critique, there's no way that I know that I could have found that out in advance, because I did email them and I did ask questions like, can I fly my drone there and stuff? And no, you cannot do that either. So not on the private property anyway. Look at that. Look at that view. Yeah, going down is definitely the more thrilling because you see much more clearly how steep things are here. You could see a lot of old mining roads too going up impossibly steep up these hills, presumably made by people many, many years ago. I was going to get my drone out too for part of this, but why? I don't think I need it. But being as though you can really only take pictures, you can only walk in a handful of those buildings there, it's a pretty quick tour. So you're not gonna, it's not an all-day affair to drive up here and drive back down. Had I been able to film and chat a little bit and make some commentary, I allotted like 3 hours to do this, and I didn't do everything there is to do. I could have driven up and over the saddle to see some Death Valley views like you see on this show, but I think there's a small part of me that's sore about not being able to film, and I'm like, screw it, I'm out of here. The child in me. But that's okay. I think here is a good spot to pull over to survey that very historic valley also below and get you some more views of that. Feel like I need to make it up to you guys now for not being able to film in town. I think the drive itself might be worth it. But look at that dry lake bed down below and how big that lake would have been. We're now back down off the mountain, right where we started. To prove it, I'm gonna turn around and show you that Slim and I made it. We survived our first and maybe only trip up to Cerro Gordo. Well, folks, we made it. I'm glad I did it, I guess. I would have rather under different circumstances, but Slim and I have seen Cerro Gordo with our own eyes. We even got some pictures to prove it. Not sure how we're gonna make a video out of this. I mean, definitely documented the road, the drive up there really well. But we'll probably have to do like a slideshow in the middle or something like that. So thanks for bearing with us on this one. I wish it could have been otherwise, but what are you gonna do? See you next week.